Now that I'm recording, they're going to stop. They're going to stop. Are they going to stop? Now that I'm recording, they're going to stop fighting. They've been fighting for the last 5 minutes. If I say anything to them, distract them in any way, then they won't start fighting again. And I'm such a good dad. I'm waiting for them to start fighting again. But let's dive into tonight's scoreboard, shall we? And who, in fact, might win the games tonight. There they go. He's twice her size, too. Like, in terms of size, there's no comparison between the two cats. Did you chase her off, Shadow? Hey, did you chase her off? Okay, so whoever had Shadow in the fight pool wins. I don't have any kind of fight pool between cats. Of course, we're only a minute and a half in, and fighting cats. This is another hockey channel. Do that on YouTube, shall we? All right. So tonight's action, Colorado's and Winnipeg. I want to see the Jets win this. I'd like to see the Jets get back into this race. It's not going to be easy for them because when other teams have played less games than you have, it does make it a challenge. Just ask Toronto. And where Winnipeg's at right now, they really kind of have to win out. New Jersey's in Boston. Boston has to win this one, but Boston's got Hudobin starting. So I want to go, oh, yeah, no, Boston will win this. But Corey Schneider against Hudobin, I got a bad feeling New Jersey's going to win that tonight. Tampa's in Buffalo. It's Robin Lehner and Andrei Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky's probable. He's not listed as confirmed, but he's probable. I'd say that's a good bet, although Budai might be a nice twist to throw in there. But I like Buffalo's chances in this game. The drubbing that Tampa took at the hands of Pittsburgh, that stung. And I could see Buffalo winning that one. Ottawa's at home against Columbus. Anderson's confirmed. Bobrovsky's probable. I love the Craig Anderson story. I'd like to see it continue with a win tonight. Dallas is in Florida. Reimer's confirmed. Something interesting's happened in Florida. I've mentioned it in video before. I know Luongo's hurt right now. He's out for a week with a lower body injury, potentially longer. Reimer's just been better. I think this is the start of the fall of Roberto Luongo in terms of he's been one of the best goalies in the league for well over a decade. So it is not telling tales out of church to say, he's probably over the hill at this point in terms of his peak. And it's Reimer's team from here going forward. I would think that in the offseason, I could see either Roberto retiring or Florida coming out publicly and saying Reimer's our starter and Roberto will be the backup. And he could make a very effective backup. He could. And the big game is Montreal, New York. It'll be on CBC tonight. Lundqvist against Price. They're both listed as probable. I can't see why either of them wouldn't play. It's a huge game for both teams. The Rangers can, get back into that mix. I honestly don't know if the Rangers are at all concerned with where they finish in the standings, but players, for their pride, will try to finish as high as possible. So while we as fans say, well, it makes more sense to kind of finish as the number one wild card and play the Atlantic Division winner, their pride says no, we want to finish as high in the standings as possible. And Rangers don't want to fall behind Columbus and Pittsburgh because that's not that competitive spirit that players have. Philly's in Washington. This is a game Philly has to win, but Washington is just so damn good. Holtby, 1.91 goals against. So while everybody's talking about everything else that's going on and who's going to win this, and everybody seems to be fascinated with the Calder race and who's going to win the Art Ross, and look at the Brent Burns story going on in San Jose. Meanwhile, Braden Holtby has a 1.91 goals against and 33 wins against 8 regulation losses. Vezina? Probably. Probably. I know Devin Dubnyk is the sexy story out in Minnesota, but honestly, I really think Holtby's going to come through and win the Vezina this year. Chicago, Nashville. They've got UC Saros is likely to start. I don't know how much different likely is from probable. If somebody asks me, you want to go out tonight, and I say probably. Somebody calls me, you want to go out? Likely. I don't see a big difference there, but Corey Crawford's listed as probable. UC Saros is likely. Chicago has been fantastic lately. Nashville's been good. Nashville's coming off that stinging loss against Montreal. I think this is probably one of those games. Chicago's going to keep turning up the pressure to get that division. They want that division. So I would not bet against Chicago. The Canucks are in LA. Miller's confirmed. I think Miller will probably play out from here. It's his last run with Vancouver. I don't think they bring him back next year. That being said, you never know. You never know with Jim Benning what he's thinking. And if Miller has been very good, the stats don't necessarily bear it out, but Miller has honestly been a very good goaltender for Vancouver, and he's stolen some games for Vancouver. So the idea that Ryan Miller would start almost every game from here on out is not that outside the realm of reality for me. I do think it is Jacob Markstrom's team in the fall, but right now it's Miller's, and he's been really good. Like I said, the stats don't really bear it out, but he hasn't had the defense in front of him that a Holtby or a Dubnyk has had. Bishop is listed as likely for the Kings. I agree. Quick's been good. Quick was fantastic against Toronto the other night. Spectacular saves, and it's easy to forget that with Quick, that he's one of those unorthodox goalies along the same lines as a Tim Thomas, a Dominic Hasek. Quick, you seem like you're going around him, and then he contorts himself, and the next thing you know, he somehow got it with the other arm, and you're like, how? And his goaltending style, how was it when I was watching the game with Yvonne? She kept yelling "starfish" every time he dove, either face down or on his back. Starfish, and I'm like, yeah, that's how Quick plays goal. He knows most pucks are low, so you get down, you make them try to beat you high, and you get a leg, an arm, your face, whatever you got to get in the way. Quick is back to playing that style, and the Blues looked bad last night. Winnipeg was full value for the win, but the Blues, that's a game you have to win. And right now the Kings are in that playoff spot. So when people are like, I don't understand, the Kings aren't going to make the playoffs. I got that a lot when I said that Quick makes the Kings likely for the playoffs. And right now they are. If they win, and they should win this game tonight, that puts them 3 points ahead of St. Louis. So suddenly, the Kings are pulling away from St. Louis, even though they haven't necessarily had a very good record. They just haven't lost in regulation. So with those 2 extra points, they're 2-0-2, and they're pulling ahead of St. Louis. So I saw an interview with Doug Armstrong last night where he tried to explain the Shattenkirk deal, and it makes perfect logical sense until you look at the standings. And then it doesn't make logical sense. Detroit's in Edmonton. This is a game Edmonton needs to win. And Detroit is dangerous. Detroit is playing spoiler down these last few weeks here, and don't take them lightly. Carreau is listed as possible or probable. Talbot's probable. I can't see anybody but Talbot playing. I know Brossoit's there, and Edmonton's going to want to get him games, but until they clinch a playoff spot, I think Talbot plays out, unless it's a back-to-back. I can't see Talbot taking a night off. And even in back-to-backs, he's going to argue he wants to play. Talbot and McDavid are 2 major reasons why Edmonton's in a playoff spot right now, and they look good, and I could see them winning that tonight. In terms of NHL, For some reason, I can't get some of these pages to load very well for me. All I want. There we go. That's what I want. Oh, why does it want to load a video? I hate Sportsnet for that. Okay, so when you look at teams that are basically mathematically done, Carolina down at the bottom in the East, done. Detroit is 10 points out, done. Jersey is 9 points out, done. Buffalo is 6 points out. They're flirting with it. They have to win a bunch. Tampa, that loss to Pittsburgh, if they had won that game, if Tampa had won that game, they would be sitting 3 points out. As it is, they're 5 points out. I'm not going to declare them as being out of the race, but they're flirting with it. It'll be interesting to see where that turns out, or how that turns out. In the West, as I said, the Kings are 1 point up on St. Louis. St. Louis has a game in hand, which would be fine if they hadn't lost their last 5 games. Mike Yeo injected some energy into the team short term. Long term, it's not working out. Their road record isn't very good. 13, 16, and 1. Their home record is 18, 11, and 4, which is middling. And it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, because you've got Colorado that's out, Arizona out. They're 15 points back. Vancouver is 9 points back. They're done. I mean, like, if they win tonight, you're going to hear, oh, they pull within 7 points of LA, but they have to pass Dallas, Winnipeg, St. Louis, LA. And you don't pass 4 teams in the last 20 games of the season. Or in Vancouver's case, it'll be 19 games. And so Dallas is ahead of them. They're done. Winnipeg is currently 4 points out. LA has 1 game in hand. What works to Winnipeg's advantage is that St. Louis is in the tank, and LA has been good. LA's been good, not great. So what Winnipeg needs to do is, first off, they've got St. Louis in their grasp right now. Hope that St. Louis keeps just drowning in this mire they're in, and Winnipeg needs to jump them, and then all Winnipeg has left is LA to track down. It's not an easy task, but 4 points, stranger things have happened, and if Winnipeg somehow made the playoffs, that would leave Vancouver and probably Toronto as the only Canadian teams not to make the playoffs, which would make, I think, every Canadian fan outside of Vancouver and Toronto probably pretty happy. In terms of fandom across the country, Vancouver and Toronto fans are very loyal, very excitable fans. But outside of Toronto fans, Toronto is very unpopular with non-Toronto fans. I've seen that on my channel. I've seen it everywhere. And Vancouver is very unpopular outside of Vancouver. I know there are fans who in 2011 were cheering for Boston just because they weren't Vancouver. And even now, even though the team's almost completely changed, there are still people that if Vancouver was in a Stanley Cup final against any other team, they'd go, I want the other guys to win because I don't want to listen to Canuck fans if they win this cup. So if Vancouver or Toronto were the 2 Canadian teams that missed the playoffs and everybody else makes it, that would make some people happy. So let me know in the comments below if that would make you happy. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, because you're going to want to come back and check this again soon. I've got a lot of other stuff to talk about today too. And have fun with the games tonight. Let me know who you think's going to win. This is just fantastic. We're into the last stretch here. We're getting there. We're going to get to the playoffs, and then I can do some massive playoff predictions, and we can really get into the meat and potatoes of hockey season. It's the time that is just so much fun. The first round is the greatest hockey of the year, and everything peaks in the first round. There's so many games happening. There's so much happening, and I promise I'll be here to cover it for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all again real soon.